panel's all cut clean now. Cleaned it all up as best I could for the time being. I've cut my inner panel ready. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to offer that in position like so. This has already been sliced there where they attempted to put a speaker in. So they've cut into that. So I want to try and retain as much of that as possible. I don't want to cut just the opening. We're left with an opening there. So I'm going to offer that up. It's got a step at the bottom of that. I don't know if you can see it. So it goes behind there. But ultimately I need to repair some of this as well. It's all rotted here. And also this panel goes on the inside of this first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this repair panel, get that all lined up, put some clips on it to hold it in place. Then I'm going to get some cardboard and shape this round, get a template that I need, cut that out, cut that piece out. I think I'll go ahead and weld that piece in, because then this sits on top of it afterwards. If I put that in now, I'll have problems getting the other piece in, so it's best just to get this all in position now and then go ahead with that. It's all quite bad under there as well, the extent of the rust. Because the floor pan, I'm going to have to make a piece up in the middle because the floor pan doesn't come round very high. So I'm going to go ahead first and get this marked up and cut that inner part, the inner panel. Then we'll go ahead and crimp it. So I'm going to mark it up and cut it. So our panel's cut now. I've trimmed it in. I've held it in place with these grips. These things are really good for welding. Just loosen them, clamp them. Obviously they're only good for places where you can retrieve the bolt, this bar, once you've started the welding, because you need to retrieve that bit afterwards. Obviously an inner seal is no good because you ain't going to get to the bar again. So I've got my panel cut. It's all in place, not too bad. Managed to tuck it in behind, there's a folded lip there. Managed to get it into there, happy with that. So that's just sitting there for now. What I wanted to do next was, I've set up a piece of cardboard. This is going to tuck in behind. It's going to tuck in behind there. So what I might do actually, I might stop it at the same level as that, and then I might do a follow-on piece afterwards there once the floor panel's in. It's quite severe, the rot on here. I don't want to go ahead and just cut everything out like some people do, because I won't remember how the shape is or anything, and I'll end up getting really confused. So I'm just going to cut out sections as I'm working along, I think. So I'm going to concentrate on getting all this done. Obviously the A-pillar support comes down quite low, so once I've got this all welded up and ready, I might move on to this inner seal, cut some of this out, and fabricate a piece of metal into there. Then I can start building my way back out. Like I said, everything's just layers and you have to sort of go backwards 3 or 4 steps before you can go move forward. But then I suppose it all falls into place eventually. So I've got my template cut. I hope it's correct. I might have to manipulate it a little bit to fit. I'll just take that out. So that's my template I've made with a bit of cardboard. There's my panel in place. What I bought off the internet, which was quite good, was one of these tools, stepper, puts a step in the metal. What I was doing with these thin panels, I was butt welding them, and I don't think it's that necessary, to be honest with you. So what I might do, I might cut the cardboard. The pencil line is where the outline is. I've left the lip. Then I'm going to use my air tool, and I'm going to step that back in, then offer it in. Then that actually makes it stronger, I think. And then what I'll do, I'll punch. It's got a hole punch as well on that, so I'll punch some holes on there, and I'll spot weld the holes through just to grip it. And then I'm going to seam seat. Then I'll seam weld it all the way down the edge. And on the inside, I'm just going to seam sealer it with mastic, I think, once it's all painted and finished. I don't think it's necessary to MIG weld it all the way through on the inside as well. Once that's MIG welded on the outside and painted, that should be watertight, so that should be good enough. So I'm hoping that's my template. I'm going to transfer it onto some thin metal next and cut that out, and hopefully that will be good to go. Then obviously the next step, I'll put the step in it. I had a little play with the tool. There's a piece of metal here. If you can see it, I mean that's just a rough piece of metal I had, but I'd done that in seconds. I was really impressed with that. And it punches holes as well for the spot welding. Excellent. I think I paid £55 for this. It's really good. I've got a hand one, but obviously if you've got a long run to do, then it could be quite tiring and time consuming, I think. So, and it's not that noisy either actually, which I was quite surprised about. Makes a little noise, this machine. Got a hole punch. I don't know, time will tell on the quality of it, I suppose. I went for a cheaper version. So we've used the joggler tool. I've put a step all the way along. Quite happy with the results. It's a really good tool, that. And what I did as well, I've got the edge of the disc grinder and I've just gone around the edge of that. And I used the joggler with the punch. And I punched some holes in. It's turned out that's a really good tool actually. I wish I bought them before. Obviously it's only good for like the thin panel stuff. I don't think you'd be doing it with the thick metalwork stuff. Right, what I'd like to do next is get this in position as best as I can. And then what I'd like to do is get my drill set up. And I'd like to use the drill and start using the screws to start pulling the metalwork into position. So I want to put a few screws on there to get that into position, and then what I'd like to do is get this back in position, and then I want, because that metal sits flat on this edge, so what I'm thinking of doing is I want to cut it exactly on that line as well. So I'll drill some holes in along the edge of that. I think it's going to be quite hard to MIG weld that. I don't know if you're supposed to. I don't think it's a structural part of the car, this part, and you won't see it anyway. So I'm going to put loads of holes, literally 1 centimetre apart, I think, and I'm going to plug weld it right the way down. Give me a nice edge finish on that, and once I've ground all the welds down and painted it, you won't see it. So I think it'll look a bit neater than trying to MIG weld a line down it, and it will look a bit messy as well. So I think what I'm going to try and do next is set up the drill to try and get that piece of metal fixed in position. I'm struggling to get the metal in position, but I've forgotten I've got all these welding clamping aid tools, which is going to make my life a whole lot easier now. I forgot all about these. Quite really good. Actually pull all the metal in position. Now it gives me the ability now, both hands free, to get some screws in the holes, and I can use them tools for pinching the metal together. Really good. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. That's all looking good at the moment. So I've got my panel in. I had to put a screw on the inside because I couldn't get the drill in from this angle. They're really good, them pinch, these tools. Forgot I got them, to be honest with you. They're only cheap ones, but they'll do. Anyway, I've managed to get that in. It's shaped in position. Really happy with that. And then I eventually managed to get this back in. And I don't know if you can see. I'll get the camera in there. The edge is pretty much running parallel all the way down. I'm really happy with that. That's more luck than judgment, because what I did, I measured this panel about 1/2 inch longer, but what I did, I measured it off this edge, and because I've put that the step in it as well, I've lost it inside the gap now. So what I was going to do was leave it longer and then draw a pencil line down it and cut it, but I did cut that quite straight anyway. And that's actually turned out really well. I'm really happy with that. So I haven't got to trim any of that. That's really happy with that. So that's pretty much the metalwork, the two pieces formed and in position now. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go take this piece off now, and then I'm going to use my clamps and pinch the metal tight and I'm going to start welding this inner panel out first, this inner wheel arch panel, I think. And that's the right depth there and everything there now.